Om Namo Venkateshaya to all of you. Today we are going to decode Saturn placement of your birth chart, and we will be going house-wise, right from the first house till the 12th house in a lot of detail. Saturn is one of those planets which is highly misunderstood, highly fear-mongered across the internet, and even misunderstood in form of the readings that you would see. And you will also see that a lot of people would not even acknowledge the blessings they have in their real life through Saturn. Saturn is one of those few planets that can actually make or break a lot of things in your birth chart. It holds a lot of power in your birth chart, given that apart from its own placement, it has the power to aspect three different houses within your entire birth chart that would be revolving around different themes of your life. It would be creating different challenges within your life, and it will also reward you according to those challenges. A very overrated term, which is as always associated with Saturn, is the fact that it always supports delays over denial. But the reality is, Saturn is like a protector. It does not really care whether you actually enjoy the pressure it is trying to give you. It does not really care whether you misunderstand it or not. It does not really care whether you are undergoing an extremely hard phase in your life. Its fundamental intrinsic nature is to create obstacles and challenges within your life and then waits to see your reaction to all of these challenges. It is one of those planets which has the power to hold your karma as well as the rewards associated with your karma. And that is why Saturn owns the 10th and the 11th natural signification zodiac signs or rashis, as we like to say it, which is Capricorn and Aquarius, that comes continuously. Saturn is also one of those planets which is slowest in terms of transiting in a different zodiac sign from where it is placed, because it will take approximately 2.5 years to actually even move from one sign to another in your birth chart. Saturn always creates challenges in your life and waits for you to react to them in the correct fashion so that you can convert these challenges into opportunities. And you definitely will learn one very important thing with Saturn, which is acceptance. It is not about delay or denial at all. It is about acceptance. It is about being protected at the cost of misunderstanding something which you are always desiring for, and Saturn will steal it away from you, because it might not be the most optimal path which you might be navigating towards. And that is what Saturn does. So whenever you are trying to read Saturn in your birth chart, always remember that the house in which this Saturn is placed will be extremely good for you, irrespective of the challenges it is going to bring in the themes of your life. Saturn, being the justice god, will never do injustice to the house where it is being placed, but it will definitely give you a lot of troubles in the way you perceive it. And the houses where it will be aspecting, which is the 3rd house, the 7th house, and the 10th house away from its own placement, are the places where you will actually see challenges manifesting in form of circumstances in your life, and it is your duty to overcome them. Saturn has this quintessential vibe to it that it will never let you settle down to be a silver. It will always pressurize you to the extent that you will break down in the hope that you eventually become a diamond. But after you have become a diamond, it is very much possible that you have no longer the desire to become a diamond itself. So you are in hold of your abundance in your life, but still living in denial about it. That is how powerful Saturn tries to create a legacy in your life, and therefore it will only give you those rewards at a much later stage. Many a times you would feel that this delay is actually equivalent to a denial. But what you neglect over here strongly is the fact that you were protected. Protected in the ways that you yourself couldn't contemplate. And sometimes it takes you multiple years to even realize what Saturn exactly did to protect you. And then when you look back at your life, let's say back 5 years since you have came forward in your life in the future, you would realize that no, some things manifested for you, some disappointments that came your way have only made you stronger. And that's what the intention was. Because today, whatever you define yourself to be is what Saturn really shaped out of you. If you have planets in your chart with a lot of Saturn nakshatras associated with it, then you will also see a lot of money making opportunities that comes and paves way in your life. Always remember, Saturn also does give rewards because it is the natural significator of Aquarius, which is the sign for rewards. And therefore, you will also see this, that the rewards and success which is given by Saturn is much more immense compared to what Sun can give you, compared to what Jupiter can bless you with, compared to what a courageous Mars can grant you. Saturn will make sure that you literally provide a legacy related to that house only if you are able to succumb to all of these obstacles, challenges, and plethora of circumstances that creates in your life on a daily basis in terms of your experiences and the way you react to it in the correct way. Many a times you would see that the person has not been able to reach the pinnacle potential which Saturn really promises in their birth chart. But nevertheless, it is one of the most misunderstood protectors. And you will also relate to this in the form of mythological or the historical stories that are associated with Saturn in any culture. Before I move ahead, if you have not followed me on Twitter, do go ahead and follow me up on Twitter, where I will be posting a lot of content on a regular basis regarding transit updates and many different insights regarding astrology that I can provide you with. Now let's understand what happens when Saturn comes to the 8th house of the birth chart. Now, this is indeed a frustrating placement, at least in initial and even at early stages of adulthood, you will see. You will see that when Saturn comes to the 8th house, this person is always on an alert on mode. They are very aware about their surroundings. They are very intuitive about what people are thinking. They are easily able to decode what is going on through the mind of the other person. They have this radar inside of them which can easily check and evaluate whether a person is actually genuine or not, whether a person is being authentic or not. Now, how do they utilize this radar is a very different topic altogether. Many a times they might become very empathetic with somebody and start taking care of them whenever they have sense that that person is probably in need or is extremely sad. At the same time, as time matures and they have already been traumatized by the society, this person who also longs solitude very often will definitely tend to use their intuition in order to manipulate people. So Saturn in the 8th house, contrary to popular opinion, is an excellent managerial placement as well, because they know exactly how to make other people work and do something which they want from them. Before I move ahead, if you have not followed me on Twitter, do go ahead and follow me up on Twitter, where I will be posting a lot of content on a regular basis regarding transit updates and many different insights regarding astrology that I can provide you with. Saturn in the 8th house also gets super frustrated about the fact that no matter how much they are trying to explore different areas throughout their career, they are still not able to find that one particular interest or one particular passion that makes them feel like, yeah, this is something I will do for my entire life. This is something of an explorer type of a placement, where the person's biggest challenge is the third aspect from this 8th house, which is the 10th house, and they keep reiterating to search what is my true purpose within this life. And many a times you would see that they actually are not able to find that purpose. They get super frustrated about it, they get super unhappy about it, but unfortunately Saturn does not grant them with the luxury to satisfy themselves with desire fulfillment, or to be able to pinpoint, yeah, this is what I discovered as my passion truly, and this is what I will work about throughout my entire life now. They do not have this luxury to say. Their bigger challenge is to keep on adapting to so many problems that keep coming and creeping in into their lives, to the extent that they finally give up on all of it and start expecting that my dreams shall be actually taken care of by my future generations. And that is the 10th aspect of Saturn, which goes to the 5th house, where there is a lot of expectations put upon or burdened on the child of this person, and this person will actually become an excellent parent also, because they know exactly what to do in order to make sure that the kid is uplifted in their life without facing the same set of problems which they have experienced. Saturn in the 8th house also shows that you will have a very large amount of joint assets with your better half, with your partner, or even a potential relationship. It is difficult for you to actually navigate life before getting into a relationship or before marriage. There are going to be struggles, there are going to be time periods where you have to begin working again back to the roots. Saturn in the 8th house always has this tendency. Being an explorer comes with its own risks and trade-offs. One thing which I strongly recommend to such a person is to actually be impulsive. Saturn in the 8th house makes you develop a very strong inertia, not just only about your perspectives, but even about your work environment, about your relationships. And this is sincerely not a placement which knows to let it go. If they feel betrayal in a relationship, if they feel that they are not valued by somebody else, or if they feel that their work is not catering to their interests, they have a tolerance capacity which is off the charts, and they start tolerating the other person, they start tolerating the job, because they get comfortable and familiar. And sometimes familiarity within the zone of toxicity is also acceptable to them. They are okay being maltreated, they are okay being stuck in a job which has a toxic workplace. They still develop a comfort zone, a familiarity, an inertia associated with that particular place, and then they do not want to step out of it because they fear, what if this gets even worse? Anyhow, they don't have any expectations attached, right? So this becomes very tricky for such a person to actually navigate. They are also blessed with a long life. Many a times I have seen the Saturn in the 8th house person just randomly telling that, I just want to give up. I am so done with this life. But unfortunately, they do not have that privilege also. If this person actually tries to even attempt suicide, chances are, if you are a Saturn in 8th house person, you will not die. You will sustain unnecessary physical injuries, and you will see that you are not having that luxury to not confront with your problems. But jokes apart, this person has developed a willpower which is completely off the charts, because this willpower is foundationally defined by perseverance. How? As I already mentioned, this person is the person who might have reached the pinnacle potential of their respective profession, or might have reached the final stages of a relationship, and then suddenly everything circumstantially disappeared from their life. Something or other occurred which deprived them of. Sometimes they are also prone to physical accidents, so even health issues come very naturally over here. But whenever such things happen with Saturn in the 8th house person, they do not fear to start things again right from scratch. And since they do not fear starting things again right from the scratch, a Saturn in the 8th house person is going to experience a lot of perseverance in their life. Many a times they feel like they are completely lost in the dark tunnel and they are not able to navigate out of it. But unfortunately, You will also see that such a person will have developed the conviction to be able to sustain their journey even through a dark tunnel, while remaining very complacent about their emotional trauma, while remaining very complacent about what they are actually going through, and they do not even want to explain this to the other person. Saturn in the 8th house is also about bending the rules in order to serve justice. This person might actually break laws also, not literally translating into a criminal, but rather this person is courageous enough to become a Robin Hood. He or she will stand up for people who have faced injustice in their life. He or she will make sure that if somebody is actually being gaslighted, or if somebody is going through a trauma which they have already experienced in their life, they will stand like a supporting pillar to them, even if they are a stranger to them. And this is what really transforms this person, because this person stood up for the downtrodden people, or people who required them at the time of their need. And this is what truly proves to be transformative for a Saturn in the 8th house person, because later on they also see that they will be favored at their workplace by even strangers. For them, referrals with the direct set of people they know might not work, but literally strangers will come out at the time of your despair and make sure that you actually pass the boat across the river. This is the level of beauty Saturn in the 8th house imparts you. Saturn in the 8th house will definitely give you challenges regarding your financial stability, and especially this will happen post marriage. You might see that Saturn in the 8th house will make you take care of your spouse's health much more comparatively. Your spouse health is kind of sensitive, and you need to sometimes even do a lot of silent sacrifices, give up on some dreams and ambitions of your own in order to take care of them. And honestly, you do not regret that, because for you they come first. For you, the responsibility you need to fulfill towards your family comes first, and that first of all comes through your partner. And this loyalty is something which is valued like crazy. So irrespective whether your source of income is legitimate or sometimes even illegitimate, in case of Saturn in the 8th house, that does happen. As I mentioned, that they are not the ones who fear bending the rules in order to serve justice. Even then you will see that your spouse is going to stay loyal to you no matter what, because they know that the core essence inside of you, that your soul is actually very pure. It is because you have undergone so many challenges throughout your life that you try to ensure that your children, your 10th aspect of this 8th house Saturn to the 5th house, your family, the 7th aspect to the 2nd house, and your partner's family and your partner itself, the 8th house, will always be seen secure, and they will always enjoy the resources which you probably might have been deprived of.